Buff Metal back with another video. The topic of today's rant: what's the best era to be a metalhead in? Now, I've been giving this a lot of thought. You know, you think about old guys, old heads, man. They're always like, man, you guys late to the game. Some people even say, you ever hear this? Metal's dead, bro. You know, you see them like Rick Beato and all those other narcs in the metal scene talking like that. Obviously, we can just dismiss them right away. They mean nothing. But there's a lot of debate about this, right? Like you'll sometimes catch people. This is one of those things, not even just in metal. It's a debate as old as time. Oh man, if I could just be born back in the his house back in, you know, whatever year it was that they, you know, their favorite bands were coming out and about, and you know, and not for nothing, dude, I can almost understand the argument, right? Almost, I can understand that you would wish to be born into the tape trading days, or you know, some of the days of yore, right? That where people had to search a little harder for music. Maybe it seemed a little more. I don't want to use this word, but it seemed a little more genuine or something, right? Because like, I don't know, it wasn't as mass producible and as mass available. So like people who were really into it had to seek it out. It's like if you got a cassette or something in, or a CD or a tape, or a vinyl, you were spinning that thing over and over and over and over again, right? Because you couldn't just go on Nuclear War Now and get another copy of Thousand Swords. You couldn't just like hit up Hells and grab, whatever it is, you know, like Mortal Decay or something. You know what I mean? Like, you couldn't just go out and get these things. So I understand the argument that some people have where they're like, oh man, it was different back in the day because we had, you know, we didn't have like the infinite seas in front of us, right? And, you know, not for nothing, like nowadays, I still would tend to agree that there seems to be something to that. Less choice can be more choice in, some scenarios. Sometimes, dude, even in my own collection, when I'm like, dude, I gotta pick something out, you know, I'm like, it's all heat, you know? I only have 10s, dude. How do I choose from this batch of like just pure annihilation? You know, it almost gets intimidating, you know, to weaker minds, that is. Not mine, but but anyways, man, yeah. I've been blasting some of these old school, like the reissues. Let's just talk about this album real quick. Start talking about some CDs I've been getting. Rotting, right? I've been going down the rabbit hole with this band, man. And like, can you imagine like back in the day having to search this out? I cannot imagine that it would be very hard, very easy to find a copy of this before Discogs, before, you know, whatever. Because I think this came out, actually, I have no idea when this came out, man. You know, that's that nerd information that I'm just not good at keeping up with. You know, I talk about that on the channel all the time too, man. As far as like the like the extracurricular information and stuff like that, I'm always like, dude, I'm getting F's in that genre. But the point is, if you can understand, like Burial, I think this came out in either 2000 or 2001. Like, dude, we didn't always have people like Hell's Headbangers putting this stuff out and like, you know what I mean, making this readily available. Or same thing. Let's talk another band I've been blasting a bit lately. Acid Witch, man. Love the Acid Witch. This is one of those albums, man, you can throw on, get the trippy lights and stuff going, dude, just have a good time with, right? And like, again, I can't imagine whenever this came out back in the day, you know, I'm sure, yeah, I would love to know when Acid Witch came out with Stoned. But anyways, regardless, man, I can't imagine living in a time where you just couldn't just grab it. You know what I'm saying? I think that's the beauty of now, you know, is that we have this awesome tendency to be able to just go on multiple websites. We know Hell's, Nuclear War, but dude, Vinyl Command. We got up and comers Iron Fortress Records, man. They've been killing the game. They're doing some really cool reissues of, if you guys all like me got burnt by the Repudiation Corpse Gristle pressings, man. They fixed it, you know, they put out a cool, really good CD, apparently. I saw Jimmy on the Block made a video on that, so gonna have to grab a copy of that. They're coming out with some Lividity presses on CD, man. And I'm like, dude, let's go, man. I can't imagine. Again, it's funny when you think about through the decades, man, how much of a biatch it must have been to have gotten a hold of stuff like this, you know? And honestly, man, you know, I know it must have been cool back in the 80s, right? When you're in your drop top Pontiac, driving around smoking Black and Milds and blasting Dio, dude. Dude, that must have been sick, right? You had like whatever 3-4 tapes to choose from, and you knew them front and back. Like there is definitely something to be said about that, because those people, man, probably will love those in a different kind of way that like us newer blood could ever understand, right? Where we've always had options, we've always had ways to like not keep it interesting. We didn't have to really search anything out much, even though you still can, right? Like there's definitely stuff like pretty much everything by Lividity. I've heard the people talking about Viral Load lately, and some of those other, especially Prophecy, the brutal death stuff that's like long out of print. It's funny that like, yeah, that's just not circulating, you know what I mean? But like, it's kind of cool. I mean, even that we still live in a time where that's still a bit of a thing, where stuff is still kind of hard to get, and it's not just buy whatever you want whenever you want it, so I guess touching back on the subject of this video, right? Like, what's the best era to be around in metal and extreme music and everything like that? By the way, let me ponder this over a cup of coffee. Tales from the Crypt mug from my trip to Pennsylvania to go see the Lurking Corpses. Go watch that video. It was awesome, man. But what's the best era? It's right now, baby. Yeah, dude. I don't know, man. I think about this a lot, dude. I made a post on Instagram kind of touching on the same subject today, that I genuinely do think that we live in the best era of metal, man. There are heaters coming out, dude. Some of the best bands you'll hear. I've been keeping up with this band the whole time, man, and they've been crushing it. Pharmacist. Here's the new Pharmacist CD. Dude, how cool is that, man? This band just keeps that, like, it's funny, man. I was going to say carcass worship thing going, but I think starting from the last album to this one, dude, they're dipping further and further from that carcass sound and more into their own thing, and they've really developed and come along nicely, man. And I'm a huge fan of Pharmacist, but one other CD I wanted to shout out too, while we're talking about old stuff that's being reissued now, Cardiac Arrest, man. I very new, spun it for the first time yesterday. Sounds great, killer. I can't imagine, dude. It's funny, stuff used to just get lost to time. Can you imagine that? But what's cool about now, man, is that we're going backwards, getting the best material, reprinting that shit. You get all this cool ass, all these cool ass re-releases with new current releases, and dude, you can pick from the infinite seas whatever you like, and to some people that might be daunting, and I can understand that, but to them I say, grow a pair, all right? You'll be good, like I think especially with the dorks in the genre who make everything like a pissing contest, I see where they're coming from, where people might get intimidated and they don't want to like spend money on the wrong stuff. There is no wrong stuff if you like what you like, but at the same time I do hear the argument. Regardless, man, I'm stoked to be around in this era, and my other little bit of advice too, dude, is if you don't think now is the best era, what are you doing to make it, not the best era, dude? The coolest thing about the metal underground, dude, is that it's almost like everyone here in it has a bit of a say, right? You know what I mean? You can make your little impression just from being a freaking dude with a cell phone and Wi-Fi. Literally, dude, that's all it takes. And then you can spout your crap and show off your collection and nerd out with other nerds. You know what I'm saying, man? It's kind of peak. You know what I'm saying? And especially now where I know like the 2010s were a little weird. I guess, like people say, or the late 2000s and stuff, people burned out. But I guess life is a cycle too. You know what I'm saying? Where everything that goes up comes down, and everything that isn't cool will be cool again, or whatever. You know what I'm saying? It must be cool, especially for some of these older heads, to have been able to watch the patterns and stuff over time. But it seems to me that extreme metal, the underground and everything like that, you got all these fests, right? Maryland Death Fest, Milwaukee Death Fest, Dead by Dog, Ohio Death Fest, Steel Fest over in Europe, all these crazy amounts of fests and everything. It's like you got so many good content creators, dude. Jimmy from the Block, Ethereal, The Dog, dude, all these people, man, kind of guiding you to the best stuff, the best of the material. It's cool, man. We live in a really cool time where it's all very accessible and able to be, you can sift through the masses easy, with a couple of good opinions as well as your own. Don't forget, man, it's your journey too. You go out there, find stuff to get people hip to, and have fun with it, right? I think the coolest thing is that I guess that's it really at the end of the day is this is a damn fun time to be a metalhead. So many good releases, so many good shows. Hope to see you all at Dead by Dog. And that if you're on the East Coast in Massachusetts or anything, better catch you at that Red Lord Humongous show this Thursday. What is that, the 11th, I think? June 11th? Whatever the Thursday is closest to that. Anyways, that's all I wanted to say. Hail the metal. Long live. Hoo hoo.